Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we have to go over this little SCP really quick. It's just a formality from the higher ups. So if you can, please get seated and let's get right into it. Today we're going to be going over SCP-061. Object Class, Safe. Special Containment Procedures list that the source code for the SCP-61 is to be kept on a standard archival quality read-only data compact disc CD-ROM. 4 copies of the CD-ROM with the source code are to be stored in separate maximum security inanimate object lockers, except for the purposes of approved experimentation. SCP-61 is not to be loaded, compiled, or run. Research proposals for the SCP-61 require written approval from Site Command. Only 1 copy of the CD-ROM containing the source code for the SCP-61 may be used at a time. The CD-ROM is to be returned to the storage immediately after being used to load the source code for the SCP-61 to a device. SCP-61 must never be loaded, compiled, or run on any device which has connection to the Internet, either directly or via another device. SCP-61 must never be loaded, compiled, or run on any device which it is physically capable of wireless connectivity, regardless of whether that connectivity is in use. For purposes of approved experimentation, SCP-61 may be loaded, compiled, or run on LAN objects consisting no more than 3 devices plus peripherals. No devices are to be disconnected from the LAN during experimentation. Following the conclusion from the experimentation, all devices with this LAN are to be immediately reformatted. Audio output peripherals for this LAN device are to be contained within an observation chamber surrounded by noise-canceling vacuum insulation. In the event of a perimeter breach by hostiles during the SCP-61 experimentation, all devices with a LAN are to be immediately destroyed. Description: SCP-061 is an acoustic computer program being developed by the SCP researchers with the intent of producing successful countermeasures to similar programs being developed by governments and individuals around the world. Inspired by research on SCP Command saw both potential and harm in the ability to control the brain functions of other human beings. Laymen understand that music can elicit certain emotions or memories, or various sounds can elicit fear and excitement by simply being heard. Governments around the world have been attempting to expand on that premise for decades. SCP research is one of the first to elicit responses on higher mental activities. Parts of the brain affected by SCP-61 differ from those simulated by or by subliminal messaging. Instead of acting on parts of the brain that were thought to be in control of the subconscious, acoustic frequencies produced by the SCP-61 intercept conscious thoughts as they are produced and replaced by them. Instead of a suggestion, the human hearing center bisects the conscious thinking mind of the frontal lobe with the motor control cortical homunculus of the brain. A baseline rhythm convinces the rest of the brain that the conscious mind is asleep and effectively stops conscious thought from continuing from the rest of the brain. In return, the frontal lobe experiences a pause that resembles a psychological effects of amnesia. Acoustic codes developed by SCP-61 are interpreted by motor centers in the brain as conscious instructions, and the subject typically acts accordingly. See Addendum-01. Subjects will normally have a blank facial expression while under the influence of SCP-061. They are not responsive to attempts at conversation and express no desires such as human hunger, interest, or any sexual advances. Through all commands are followed without question. The effects of the auditory control cease once the subject is no longer able to hear the program. Most test subjects report on being unable to remember the actions they performed while under control, but a few noted have experienced the effect of watching helplessly as their body acted against their will. The intent of such research is to discover ways to counteract the effects of auditory mind control. However, only 2 methods of countermeasures have been proven successful as of yet. 1. The subject's hearing is impaired so that the individual can no longer hear the program, either by covering the ear or deafening the subject. 2. The program itself sends a coded instruction to the hearing center of the brain, permanently shutting it down. Though the ear continues to hear, there has been no progress in finding the proper code to reboot the hearing center of the brain. Despite its shortcomings, SCP-061 represents a promising development in the creation of counter-anomalous phenomenon. Further research is ongoing. Addendum-01. All subjects are placed under auditory control, issued a coded auditory command, and then monitored. If you continue reading, we have 4 addendums and 4 specific subjects to go over. Subject 4402F. The command was sleep. Response. Subject curled up into a fetal position on the floor, and her brain began emitting alpha waves associated with her sleep. Her eyes remained wide open in the typical blank/empty expression associated with controlled subjects, but her eyes twitched rapidly in ways associated with REM sleep. Subject 4427M. Command was to run on a treadmill. The response. Subject mounted the treadmill and then proceeded to run. Subject did not turn on the treadmill, resulting in the subject impacting the control platform. Subject repeated this until the stop command was issued. Note: more detailed commands are advised for task-oriented commands. Subject 4427M. The command was to turn on the treadmill and then run on the treadmill. Response. Subject turned on the treadmill at maximum speed, mounted, and attempted to run before being ejected off the conveyor belt. Subject repeatedly attempted to run on the treadmill at a random speed and run on it with various outcomes. Note: more detailed commands are advised for task-oriented commands. I will say, if you guys go and watch the file videos for that, it's a good one. I won't lie. Last one. Subject 4427M. Command was to turn on the treadmill at jogging speed and jog on the treadmill. The response. Subject successfully jogged on the treadmill until the stop command was issued, which resulted in the subject being ejected off the conveyor belt. Note: subjects should be in a safe, neutral position before the stop commands are issued. Wonderful. That's all we have for today. This is an upcoming project for everybody. The ones in the back, you have the center command on this. So, like I said, we're all trying to improve. So, if anyone has any questions, you know where my office is, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.